Axiom Hero, Sierra, and Oddball is a favorite pet project of mine for just barely missing the mark. As I previously discussed in my review of the hero and what she might need to be competitive, the bulk of the issue is a lack of just right options for the brass bug generating effect. The permanents in the base set that would have really made her effective are either just one cost too little to trigger the effect, like with everybody's favorite Haven Bravos Bastion, or too expensive to justify losing an entire turn's worth of tempo for ultimately minor card advantage. With Trial of Frost soon upon our doorsteps, the question for Sierra is obvious. Is this the set that finally has her properly kitted out? The answer depends heavily on how well she walks the Icebound path. As the preceding weeks have revealed, the new set includes a cycle of landmark permanents that encourages decks to lean heavily into their faction's respective mechanical archetypes, investing into them to generate powerful field-dominating effects, usually in the form of a 5/5/5 Dragon Shade, plus a little extra. For Axiom, the relevant cards are as follows. Icebound Hollow, 3 from hand, 3 from reserve, or 2 from reserve as a rare, gains a trial counter when the card goes from hand or deck to reserve, and radiates cards in reserve when the Dragon Shade is created. Icebound Path, rare only, 3 from both hand and reserve as a rare, and gains trial counters when cards in reserve are exhausted. When the Dragon Shade is created with pass, you draw a card. Icebound Peak, also rare only, 3 from hand, 2 from reserve, gains trial counters when characters you control gain fleeting, and characters you control gain +1 boost with the Dragon Shade. To clarify, while Exhaust is not itself a new effect to alter TCG, the ability to exhaust cards in reserve to prevent their use is a new set signature effect in Trial by Frost. It also carries the implication that cards will now support effects while in reserve, even when not cast, which is especially interesting for Axiom players. For the purpose of discussing Sierra, however, it's especially Hollow and Pass that has our interest, as there are a few permanents that have particularly interesting effects with fleeting. Traced players, yes, Peak is pretty damn peak for you, doubling up on Haven boosts, but this ain't about y'all privileged top hitters anyhow. For Sierra specifically, there may be a convincing argument to be had for playing both Hollow and Pass. While we still need to see what reserve-based support cards are available in the faction, Sierra is in the best overall position to set up Dragon Ramps, maintaining board presence with Brass Bugs with every Icebound she sets up. Hollow would be the easiest for this, playing naturally to Axiom's hand to reserve effect for quick Dragon Ramping, with the secondary effect that readies your cards, agnostic to your overall strategy. Pass, on the other hand, is more dependent on what other cards Axiom gets in the set, but the ability to exhaust your opponent's cards to trigger Pass, plus gain card advantage off of it, makes its activation ritual a potentially massive tempo advantage. So yes, Sierra players have a lot to look forward to come the end of January, but as for the deck I'm actually playing right now, the card that Lockenok sent over to me for this review was basically tailor-made for Subash. The Little Match Girl. In its basic form, it rewards you for hand dumping with card advantage. In its rare form, it rewards you for going full pedal to the metal, drawing 2 if both hand and reserve are emptied out. A situation decidedly not difficult for most Subash players to set up, given that we usually end up in top deck mode come mid-game anyhow. Stats are pretty much on nose for its price point too, with a chunky 3 points in green and 2 in brown, making it competitive enough in most scenarios. But the real value is, of course, in the ability and what it implies. For Subash, where card advantage is at such a premium, the potential double up is worth damning your indie stat line, and even more so if you can grab in-faction unique with the same tag, greatly increasing the deck's consistency and tempo. As for the Bravos variant, I don't know. I don't play a whole lot of Bravos. I do think that Basira decks suffer similar issues as Subash, where their leader ability is inherently card hungry. Unlike Muna's Tasia, you have to either play a self-boosting card to double up on its effects, or play 2 cards in order to trigger the leader, which just isn't particularly good in a game that demands a whole lot of per cast efficiency for anything that costs more than 2 or 3 mana. LMG does help alleviate this and provides a sufficiently substantial body to build off, but I don't necessarily see it as a high import priority for the faction. Of course, speculation is one thing and implementation is another. We got 2 weeks to go before the next set drops. I look forward to beating all up in BGA.